Are you aware that what's driving the stock market, what's driven the S&P 500 to the new heights, is all about artificial intelligence and the rebuilding of data centers by putting, what is it? It's 1,970,800 new servers are going into data centers, and that's what's driving NVDA's price. That's what's drove Supermacro's price, and I think that it all came as a surprise. I looked it up. Supermacro in 2022 was selling for $82 a share. Well, it's now selling for over $800. That's a tenfold increase. NVIDIA was selling for $146 in 2022, and it's now selling for over $1,200. That's almost a tenfold increase. And Wall Street didn't see it coming. I don't think they see the fact that they're going to have to replace 73, million PCs around the world who aren't going to be able to handle the load that AI is going to put on them. I've got a Dell that's water cooled. I paid $3,600 for it a year ago, March, and it crashes. It crashes under the load that I'm putting on it from artificial intelligence, ChatGPT, and those sort of things, but also Google Sheets and Excel. And then I'm monitoring my brokerage account. No, we are going to have to replace not we, but somebody is going to have to replace 73 million PCs. Now, you might say, that isn't me. My PC's working fine. Yeah, but you don't work for Goldman Sachs. 43,600 people work for Goldman Sachs, and they're all going to need new PCs. And then there's 200,000 people working for JP Morgan. They're all going to need new PCs, and they'll all need them tomorrow. Yeah, once this AI gets built out and the Copilot and all the AI factories start kicking in, those PCs are going to need to be replaced. And I don't think anybody's paying any attention to it. So who is going to be the beneficiary of that? Well, let's look at who sells most PCs now. 25% of the PCs are Lenovo's. I used to have one. I also had a HP. That's 22%. Dell comes in third at 16%. Apple at 9%. Esrus at 7%. Archer at 7%, and then others 14%. What I don't believe, though, is that anybody has put this into the equation of what is this going to do to their stock prices and how have they performed. Have you analyzed the past performance of Lenovo, HP, and Dell to see which one is going to be in the best place to benefit, much as SMCI and NVIDIA did in 22? Who's going to be in, what would that be, 26? Who's going to be looking at a 10x return, a 10x increase in price? Let's look at it. I'll share with you the analysis I did, and let's see if we collectively can come to a conclusion as to where we should be putting our money. This is the analysis that overloads my computer, as well as the analysis that I do on all the stocks that I have in my bus portfolios. I want to know who I'm buying, what their past history is, and then what they're telling me they're going to do in the future, and then project what that's going to do to their price. This is Dell's analysis, this is HP's, and this is Lenovo's. And what you see here is I'm analyzing, this is their earnings per share and their percentage movement of earnings per share, how it affects then the price, how that is also affected by the revenue, and then what is the PE ratio resulting from the earnings per share and the price per stock, because that's what the price per stock is based on. The earnings per share divided, multiplied times their PE ratio. So looking at Dell as an example, they're selling right now for $129.97. Their earnings in 2024 are projected to be $7.13. Well, if you multiply, that gives us a PE ratio, a price to earnings of 18.2. What I then do and say is, I'm not going to take just what they did this year. because in Dell's case, they've gotten a lot of hype from their collaboration with NVIDIA. So I'm taking an average over the last 4 or 5 years and saying, okay, their average PE ratio is 10.6. So if they in fact get a earnings per share that they're projecting of $7.76, and then in 26, 938, and then in 2027, 1083, this is what the corresponding price will be by multiplying that earnings times the PE ratio of 18.2. So what that tells me is that Dell is projecting pretty modest earnings increases, which tells me they don't know that it's coming. Or they know, but they aren't sharing that with analysts. And analysts haven't picked up on it and said, hey, there's going to be these millions of 76 million PCs that are going to be sold. We know that most of them are going to go to businesses, and then the rest are going to trickle in on the consumers. But they haven't figured this into the price. So I then say, okay, well, have they figured it into the price of HP? And this is their analysis going back to 2012. And as you can see, they're projecting an increase of this year 24%. But are they factoring in that all these PCs are going to be sold to the businesses and by increasing their earnings projection by 10%? I don't think so. And then following it by 5%? That's when it should really kick in. This is when artificial intelligence will be up and running, and the software will be running, and Goldman Sachs is going to be buying 46,300 computers, and J.P. Morgan is going to be buying 200,000 of them. That doesn't look like anybody, HP or the analysts, have figured that into the price, because they're projecting the price at $20.30 is going to be $32.90 by 2020, the end of 2027. That's a 64% increase. Divide that by 3, and that's not all that much. I mean, it's what here? It's not there. Maybe it's all going to Lenovo. Okay, let's look at them. Well, they had a decrease in their earnings in 2024 from 255 to 156. Then they're projecting a 24% increase in earnings, a 26 and a 23. That's certainly stronger, but still, you put those all together, and that's a 34% increase. No, it ain't got that. It's not figured in. I am of the belief that if history is any guide, if Supermicro and NVIDIA is any guide, this should be a tenfold increase. This stock should be at $16 in 2027. This stock should be at $200, and this stock should be at $1,200. If NVIDIA and Supermicro are any form of a guide as to what's going to happen as a part of artificial intelligence. I'd ask you to watch the video with Jensen from NVIDIA, Michael Dell from Dell, and Bill McDermott from ServiceNow. And in that video, Bill McDermott, who is the CEO of ServiceNow, is asked the question, you have 25,000 employees. Do you believe you're going to have to buy them all a new computer in the next 2 years? He says, yes, I know I'm going to have to. We're gearing up for it now. Is he the only guy who knows this? He and me? Are we the only two guys who have recognized this is a repeat? I'll show you here. This is my analysis of NVIDIA. Look here, in 2022, the stock was $146.07. That's what it closed at. The next year, it went up 239%, and then it went up another 76% up to where it's currently at. It's more than that. It's at 1,200. That's almost a tenfold increase from 146. Let's look at Supermicro. Here it is in 2022. We're selling for $82 a share. At the close of business, it's now selling for $800. That's a tenfold. I believe we're going to see a very similar repeat with Dell, with HP, and Lenovo. I don't know which one is going to get the tenfold increase, or if it's all three of them. But I think it's something that we need to talk about. So I'm going to invite you to come to our stock talk this coming Friday. We talked about it this past Friday, but this is an opportunity, and we need to get this right. We need to put our heads together and not go at this alone. This is an investment opportunity. Again, I would just ask you, if you knew what you know now about
NVDA
and Supermicro, would you have bought them in 2021 and in 2022? Of course you would. Well, let's recognize what's about to happen again and work together on this. Get on the bus, put our heads together, and let's really profit on this.